For those of you who are following us on live stream and who maybe don't know, Baptiste Andreani has been with us for the last 3 festivals out of 4 we have done, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Great, wonderful. 2 of those you were in Tuzla.
Yep.
And not only that, but you have brought us some of our speakers from New York and from Paris. And I feel like you have become a new ambassador of Bosnia and Herzegovina, an unofficial one.
Thank you. That's an honor. Thank you so much. Are we waiting for someone else to be seated on the panel, Edina? Or do you want me to start?
I want you to start because Susanna is running late.
Okay.
And we're waiting for her to join us online.
All right. Okay, perfect. Well, thank you very much for having me today once more. And again, I wish I were there physically with you. So it's a great honor to be part of the 4th edition of the festival. And of course, I wanted to thank you, Edina, for having me on and for thanking and also the whole team for, preparing this whole panel. So you've already introduced me, so no need to do that. But I just wanted to start by saying hi to Edita, and very nice to meet you, Edita. How are you?
Nice to meet you too. Hello.
So I was connected a little bit earlier, and I saw that you already had a discussion during which you were introducing your brand, the brand you have co-founded with your husband, Had. But so I was.
I see.
I mean, I don't know the language, but I was capable of catching a few things. So, yeah. So I'm not necessarily going to go through the entire presentation of the brand, but I was really inspired by what you guys have been putting out there. Also in terms of your creative process that we're going to go a little bit more into details, I hope, in the panel. And, I was speaking with Edina too, and she told me that you had a fashion show named Dream of Catherine that opened the Days of Culture in Vienna. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
And you guys have amazing clients, I heard. Angelina Jolie.
Angelina Jolie. Yeah.
Did I read about Kylie Minogue as well?
Yes, Kylie Minogue too.
That's amazing. So it's every man's dream, basically, in terms of a portfolio of clients. So I really wanted to thank you for taking the time to speak with me and speak with us today. And I hope Susanna is going to be able to come over as well and join the panel, because I did do a little bit of research as well on her brand. And thankfully, I have one of our alumnus who's from the Czech Republic as well. So she was able to give me a little bit of insight on the brand. I hope I pronounce it correctly. Is it Tradice? Edina, is that correct?
Yes, Tradizia. Yes.
Tradizia.
Got
Tradition,
it.
yes.
Okay, perfect. So we'll get into that.
Bosnian, good.
I do my best. I'm not sure about my language skills, but what I can tell you is I love the food, I love the people, and I love Tuzla. So yeah.
Good.
All right. So, well, the main theme of the panel today was the past and the future of fashion. And I was really interested in this topic because, well, here at IFA Paris, in our 3 different campuses in Shanghai, Istanbul, and Paris, we always try to achieve a balance between having an equilibrium between tradition, heritage, especially in France, that is very important when it comes to fashion, and also turning ourselves to the future in terms of fashion technology. And so, we've been creating a lot of programs, a lot of startup acceleration programs in particular, to be working on innovation. But for me, what is interesting is to be able to build from tradition and from heritage and then move forward towards the future. And when I was actually having a look at both brands, I saw that there is definitely a commonality in the creative process. And that's what I was talking about earlier on, because I have the feeling that both of you are starting from tradition and building on history and heritage to create relevant designs that are, within a contemporary context. But I think in your case in particular, Edita, I was looking at, what Had was doing, and especially the collection that is titled Elizabeta Bozanska. And I thought that in your case, you were actually using tradition to be transcended into a very contemporary design process. So I was really curious to understand what were your thoughts behind the creation of this collection, and how was the entire creative process behind it as well?
Edina is here to translate a little bit
Sure.
for me. My English is good, but it's not so good. Okay.
No problem.
Jean-Baptiste pita o kolekciji Bosanska kraljica, koji je bio proces nastanka te kolekcije. U suštini, poenta povezivanja tradicije i istorije i nekako povezivanja sa budućnošću, ono što nas čeka ne samo u modi, nego i u svemu drugom.
Ja, to je ono što sam ja u suštini sinoć, što smo kratko razgovarali, da bi na to pitanje Had zapravo dao najbolji odgovor. Mi u suštini smatramo kao firma da moramo njegovati ono što jesmo, zapravo ono što su naši korijeni. S tim da u svakom segmentu, pomenula sam malo čas i Amri, mi ne pratimo trend, ali isto tako damo priliku i nađemo neku notu, evo rekla bih, ili liniju koja će pratiti to. Had njeguje ljepotu žene onakva kakva ona jeste. Mislim, sve smo različite. Ili ti slažeš sa mnom?
Absolutno. Edita was saying that the entire mission of the trend, and not just that of the brand, and not just that fashion show that you saw, the collection you saw, is to really come to terms with who we are here in Bosnia and with our tradition, and to really understand where we are coming from in order to move forward. But their brand is not necessarily about following trends as much as it is about really understanding and respecting the woman and really allowing her to be who she is.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
S tim da u našoj tradiciji je sve to nekako lijepo posloženo, što je nama i olakšalo. Kad smo radili istraživanje prije same pripreme, i uvijek se to napravi, jeli? To sve neke divne tkanine, to je neka prelijepa elegancija sa vrlo diskretnom senzualnošću, baš na način kako treba prezentovati jednu ženu.
I now have to be very careful to translate this correctly, because you said some amazing things. When they were doing research into Bosnian tradition in dressing or in fashion from way back, they found that everything was already sort of lined up. Everything was in place, that the fabrics were high quality and really beautiful, that the lines were really elegant, that there was a lot of sensuality in the designs.
And discreet, the moment, yeah.
And it wasn't a difficult job to translate that to the way we dress today.
Got it. Okay. It also takes me back to not last year, but the year before's panel as well, when we were talking about, how to achieve differentiation by capitalizing on tradition, like where you're coming from. And then in this case, what makes Bosnian fashion Bosnian at the end of the day. And I was curious to understand from Edita how the foreign customer base is reacting to those specific designs.
Pitanje je kako strani klijenti reaguju na dizajn koji je povezan sa bosanskom tradicijom.
Nevjerovatno dobro.
Unbelievably well.
Nevjerovatno dobro. Znači uvijek je oduševljenje, uvijek im se dopada to što jeste i mislim da nam generalno, nama koji živimo ovdje, fali da mi nekako to držimo jako čvrsto. Svi drugi se oduše, a mi smo kao ono...
I think you have a great point. Edita was saying that it's really interesting that foreign clients get really excited about this clothes, that it's so based in tradition, while the local clients, by the clients in Bosnia and Herzegovina, are always having a hard time being, holding on to that tradition and taking pride in that tradition. But I think what's really interesting is how closely that's connected to the identity of our entire nation, our entire land, how what's happening in this, what you're saying, how it's difficult for us to be proud of our own, has a lot to do with how difficult it is to really grasp our own identity and where we are and when we're going.
I understand. And I think it's also something that I had shared with you 2 years ago. And I understand that Had as well is working with Thai silk, and you guys are showing in Bangkok. I used to live in Bangkok for 7 years. And and so I saw a little bit how the Thai fashion was evolving. And that was exactly the same scenario that you were describing. Foreign customers would actually go completely crazy for Thai designers, and specifically the ones that were using Thai traditional elements in contemporary designs. But the Thai crowd, the Thai customers, had really difficulties to be able to identify for some reason with these designs. So I don't think it's necessarily specific to a region of the globe, but maybe it's an example of maturity of people towards fashion as well, and how they see clothes as a language to express themselves.
On govori o tome u Bangkoku da kad je živio u Bangkoku da je bio sličan problem sa Tajlandom, da strani klijenti obožavaju i tajlandsku haljinu i dizajnere, a da lokalni nekako to ne gledaju kao nešto kvalitetno. But I think what's amazing is what I want women to understand all over the world, and especially in Bosnia, is that for me personally as a client who wears Bosnian designers all the time, it is so much better when I show up at an art opening anywhere in the world and people say, what are you wearing? And I say, it's a local designer. Yeah. Immediately, it's a conversation starter. If I said any other big brand that, by the way, are part of giant corporations, it wouldn't be a conversation starter, right? There's a story behind your design and this design and any other local design that's really kind of, it's important to tell it.
Evo kako smo pomenuli Bangkok, reći ću da je Had osvojio nagradu prije 14 godina. Imali smo osvojio u Thai svili zapravo. On je Thai svilu, znači izvorno tajlandsku, napravio je 30-ak modela koji su isto tako imali dašak tradicije naše bosansko-hercegovačke, ali u Thai svili. I bila sam zajedno, dobio je, Asian Link se zvala.
14 years ago, yes, 14, yes. Right? Had won Asian Link Award.
Thai silk.
Thai silk for designs in Thai silk that were drawing from Bosnian tradition.
Yeah, and in Hotel Oriental we have the fashion show.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yes. It's probably the most beautiful hotel of Bangkok.
Yes, it is. In the world, I mean.
Yes.
Yes, in the world.
But, it's great. Incredible to see our designers winning awards abroad and not to really hear about it in Bosnia,
Yeah.
So we were talking about tradition and, heritage, and that's why I wanted to make a link now a little bit to the future as well, and particularly the topic of sustainability, because when we talk about sustainability, a lot of people just tend to reduce it to optimization of utilization of resources to preserve the environment. But it's not just that. It's really also building the closeness to our local communities as well. And I was wondering if at HAD you have specific processes in place in terms of production or design, for instance, or if you are working very closely with local craftsmen as well.
Govorili smo o prošlosti i o tradiciji, ali sada ako ćemo pričati o budućnosti mode, ono što i IFA, čiji je direktor Jean-Baptiste, radi u prvom drugih projekata je vezano za modu i održivost. Na koji način moda u budućnosti može u stvari ne samo da uništava našu okolinu, nego da pomogne i da budemo nekako na tom putu vraćanja prirodi. I to obično znači puno različitih stvari, jel? Ali u suštini u jednom segmentu znači i povratku lokalnoj zajednici, pa ga interesuju u vašoj produkciji. Da li imate programe ili planirate da radite sa lokalnim, kako izgleda proizvodnja? Da li je to bazirano na lokalnim resursima ili niste u tom razmišljanju o održivosti načinu na koji moda može da utiče pozitivno?
Mi trenutno, prvo ću pomenuti da što se tiče obazrivosti o planeti i samim stvarima za koje trebamo obratiti pažnju, znači prvenstveno jeste poenta da ne podliježemo trendu. I to često zna reći, znači kad podliježemo trendu, u suštini kako je brzo taj trend i došao, tako jako brzo i nestane. Onda nam ostanu sve te krpe i krpice i mislim, budem jako i tužna i često i ljuta kad vidim koliko svi u ormarima imamo nečega. Smatram da upravo jeste taj nekakav komad, hajmo reći možda skupljeg, ali kvalitetnijeg. Znači da ćete vi, kad nosite lan haljinu, ja imam haljinu koja već 10 godina je u ormaru i non stop je tu i tu se vrti.
The prevedemo idea. So at HAD, they're really concerned about the environment and they really look toward finding ways to be sustainable. And their number one mission is really not to follow trends, meaning that the collections are not just in trend at that actual moment, that the hard clothes you buy, even if it is a little bit more expensive, is made of high quality fabrics that will last. And I have to interrupt for a second because we had a Swedish ambassador with us yesterday talking about fashion and climate, and I wished you were there. When she said that one of the biggest problems that the fashion has with the environment and the other way around is that it's fast fashion. So we are constantly buying stuff we don't really need, we don't really wear very often. And, we end up, after the trend is over, that collection is done, right?
It's done, yeah, dead.
Yeah, that's true, of course. Sorry, go ahead.
Proizvodnja je u Sarajevu, znači sve imamo u sklopu kancelarija i ofisa, imamo tu i proizvodnju i znači s toga sve ide. Tu smo pozicionirani, to je u suštini je vrlo mala proizvodnja, ali sa svim osnovnim stvarima i mašinama koje trebaju.
The second part is that their entire production is in Sarajevo at one office, so nothing is outsourced. I da li radite sa lokalnim?
Itekako.
And they work with local craftsmen and local seamstresses who...
Recimo, imali smo situaciju velikog klijenta gdje smo radili uniforme, specijalizirane za uposlene, gdje nam je trebao kaiš i cipela. I bilo nam je zadovoljstvo da uzmemo od jednog gospodina koji ima obrtničku radnju u Visokom, koji radi s kožom. Mislim, to ne moraš, ali ja ću to za ljudi, za žene koji su zaista...
But this makes me so emotional because it's really important to do that, it's a really big deal.
Sada pravimo posao, izvim što sam te prekinula, radimo isto za klijenta, Philip Morris, brand koji je vrlo poznat i zastupljen. Mi smo potencirali da se naruči verštat nakit. Jučer sam komunicirala.
So this is really, I said, it's making me emotional because it's so important for this to be happening. She was talking about how one of their big clients ordered uniforms for their workers, and they needed a belt and shoes. Those belts and those shoes are being produced in Visoko. I don't know if I've ever took you to Visoko, but it's next to Sarajevo. It's like 30 minutes away from Sarajevo. And it's a place that is known for leather production. They were working with another client where they insisted that the jewelry comes from Verkstad brand in Sarajevo. So there's definitely this cooperation between designers and craftspeople in Bosnia.
I have to say sorry, but this is my living room for 2 days, next 2 days, so I can walk whatever I want. But I have to say that Zuzana Osako is now with us, so we are ready to say hello. How are you?
Hello from Prague, Czech Republic. Sorry for joining late. I had some unexpected technical issues. Happy to be here.
Hi, Zuzana.
Hi.
Yes, so that's perfect because, again, I see a lot of commonalities between, your two brands and in terms of creative processes as well. And Zuzana, I read from your website that you're also liaising and working with local craftsmen and, getting inspired by tradition. So, we were hearing Edita saying that her production is entirely done in Sarajevo, that she's leading with local artisans as well. And so that's definitely part of a sustainable strategy. So I was wondering if you could share with us how you work with those local craftsmen as well.
Well, I have big love and passion and interest in craft in general. So I was very happy to visit one by one, pretty much everyone who did something that I could see I could implement into contemporary design that our clients may like. And the COVID time has really shown us how very important it is to be able to rely on our local sources, because anything that would be shipped from abroad would take 7 months, for example. And I know that from my colleagues in the industry who do not do everything locally, which I do. And I was really happy that we could really keep the tempo in supplying, for example.
Of course. And actually, COVID, unfortunately, it's unescapable, was part of my questions as well to the both of you. And I understand that maybe Edita was touching upon it in her previous panel as well. But I wanted to ask you how COVID has forced you to transform how you do business and perhaps striving to find innovation as well. So, Zuzana, you were saying that, well, in any case, like fashion businesses are forced to work locally because, if you source abroad, then there would be delays in the entire supply chain. What were the other innovations or different behaviors that stemmed specifically from the health crisis?
I haven't really experienced much. I more heard of them from others because we are mainly at e-commerce, and my team of maybe 15 women are all mothers who always are able to prioritize children. So the fact they had children at home didn't really matter. We all worked from home offices, and we were able to supply our clients that way. The growth of demand was about 500% the first spring when the lockdown came. So we've got really busy, but we were able to do it until the point where our fabric suppliers who do make the woven fabrics in the Czech Republic ran out of the threads, which were not Czech origin, and they would have to be imported. And in that moment, we had hundreds of orders of specific dress that appeared on a magazine and blue color, and we couldn't make any more of the fabric because our supplier didn't have the original thread. So I thought we need to really start planting our own plants to have our own hemp or cotton or linens.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
No. Of course. I was saying absolutely. And is this something that you're going to push for to try and, for example, support this type of what we call it fashion agriculture as well, and ensuring that you can grow cotton and you can grow materials as well in order to feed your own needs?
I'm trying to communicate always, even with the big factories, and tell them, let's do organic cotton. It's really something we need, that the kind of fashion we make that should last all life and is supposed to give you a relaxed, comfortable feeling is for the customers who really do think about what they wear, what they buy. And I would like to be able to even track every ingredients of our items, including the plants, and say we know where it's been grown. And I talk to people who do farm, who are trying. Unfortunately, at this point, every fabric that is really grown in Czech Republic doesn't reach the quality that I like to have in our garments. It's not soft enough often. So that's probably around for some more years to come, but I'm very happy that it's being communicated and that we are trying.
Yeah, it's a great first step for transformation. So I was wondering from your side, Edita, what were the challenges that you faced with COVID and how did you overcome them?
For me, really, the only challenge was when we were out of ability to produce more, because there was big demand. And like I say, we are mainly online. You cannot see our e-shop now because we are launching a new one next week, but it's really the place where women go relax. We create a kind of environment when they tell us that they are relaxing there and shopping. And at some point we couldn't supply. And it happened that we were shipping the garments 6 months later. So it was pretty much after season. And I have to say, out of hundreds of women, only 2 have returned for the late supply, which was amazing. I was really moved by that.
That's good. Thank God. And so, yeah, it was a delay in supply of the product. So how about you, Edita, at HAD? How did it work during COVID?
Mi smo u suštini radili sve vrijeme dok je bilo dozvoljeno, obzirom da proizvodnja nije podlijegala zakonu da bude zatvorena. Međutim, kada je kolegica javila da je zaražena, onda smo morali zatvoriti sve. I to je bio period od skoro 2 mjeseca gdje se svi liječili. Imali smo i par kolegica koji su malo teže oboljele i evo kad smo se vratili na posao, onda smo svu tu akumuliranu energiju iskoristili da krenemo dalje i da proizvodimo i radimo mnogo više. I desila se ta maska koju smo napravili troslojnu pamučnu masku sa prepoznatljivim brendom, koja je koji su širom BiH klijenti vrlo rado kupili. Opere se, ispegla, super je modni detalj, opet je tu protkan motiv čilima. Tako da imali smo u momentu da nam fali materijal, da čekamo da se to uveze i znam da smo u jednom momentu ostali bez ovih gumica iza uha koje dođu i čekali danima da se to završi, kasnili sa isporukom, ali evo sve dobro prošlo. Idemo dalje.
So when the initial lockdown happened in Bosnia in March of last year, they kept working because the production lines were not banned. They didn't have to stop working. And then at one point they had one of the workers was positive. So then everybody went through COVID for a couple months. So they were shut down for 2 months. And after that, they all went back to work and had sort of new energy in production and started working even more, producing even more. The HAD mask is really well known throughout Bosnia. DM is their distributor here. And their mask with this beautiful design of Bosnian carpets. But she said the demand was great and people were really loving them, that they did have a big problem with the suppliers, especially for the little bands that go behind your ears, little elastic bands. They couldn't get those. So there's definitely problems in the supply chain that were kind of preventing this. They had to wait and had the same issues like Susanna with being able to to supply their clients.
Got it. Okay, so very similar issues. And I think for these issues, there's a lot of things that we can do, like what Susanna was doing, like perhaps encouraging fashion agriculture and making sure that we grow locally. And generally speaking, making sure that we push the governments to make sure that the infrastructure in terms of production is up to par. And that leads me to the last topic of the panel, which is fashion technology, because, you know, a lot of people are worried and scared as if technology was a bad word, as if, you know, machine would take over their jobs as well. But actually technology is just there to support and not supplement. And that's also where I found another common point between the two fashion houses and between Edita and Susanna. It's sportswear. A lot of people think that, you know, there's not much technology that goes into sportswear, but it's wrong, because there's a lot of research that goes into the fabrics that you're going to utilize, and athletes in particular have very specific requirements when it comes to fit, when it comes to comfort as well. And I understand, Edita, from Had's side, you have a collection that is called Get a Game. So I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about this collection and what specific innovation went into the design and the production of the collection.
Ok, znači Had Get a Game jeste isto dio linije i brenda Had. Počeli smo tako što, evo, sam ja u sportu. Pa moram to pomenuti jer nisam imala prilike malo čas. Znači 25-struki sam polumaratonac, trčim trailove, plivam svako drugi dan, najmanje kilometar ili 2. Thank you, girls.
Ovo moram da prevedem, sačekaj, i to ćeš mi pomoći.
Okay.
So, part of the reason, or an entire reason, why Had is doing sportswear is because Edita is in sports. You're frozen, Jean-Baptiste, a little bit, but I hope you can hear us. You are
25 or 6, 7, I don't know.
25 or 26 or 27 half marathons.
It's shocking now. Oh my God.
I'm sorry, we lost you for a second there. And your microphone is off. Yeah, the microphone on Zoom, you're unmuted.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's
we're good.
go again.
There we go.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Technology.
Edita was saying, I don't know if you heard, but she said that Had does sportswear because she's in sports.
Oh, great.
She has done 25, 6 or 7, not sure, half marathons.
Wow.
In my leg, yeah, everything here.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So that's why Had had to design some sportswear.
That's great. And so in terms of choice of fabric, or maybe like development of fabrics as well, like what were you guys considering?
Razgovaramo o koje su tehnologije u izradi, pošto je izrada sportske odjeće puno drugačija i zahtjevnija od odjeće koja nije sportska. Znači, da li postoji neki procesi i neke nove tehnologije koje koristite u proizvodnju?
Ti znaš da mi imamo, pomenula sam ti u 16 reprezentaciju koja je u našem dresu donijela zlato, na što smo vrlo ponosni. Imamo 200-tinjak sportskih klubova za koje smo do sad realizovali opremu. Znači od same izrade materijala, mašina koje sastavljaju taj odjevni predmet preko sublimacijskog printera, evo možda ću pomenuti njega kao nešto najinovativnije što je nama pomoglo u izradi sportskih, kako se radi na dry fit materijalu specijaliziranom za sportsku odjeću koji mora da diše. znači sa tim sublimacijskim printerom kojeg mi imamo, apliciramo apsolutno sve što HAD nacrta. Okay.
So HAD actually designs for many different sports team and for BH national basketball team. Under 16 team actually won golds in those jerseys. And of course, it's a very different process than designing other clothes, but they're always trying to implement new innovation, new technologies of production, and they're using the dry fit material that they print on with the sublimational printer. Am I translating this properly? Sublimacijski printer.
Yes.
Right. So that everything is made so, you know, at the highest level, and that the athletes really are comfortable and that the material can breathe.
Yeah.
Got
and
it.
With that printer, we have the is better than we put some logos and commercial and everything on that dress or something, you know.
Perfect. Got it. Yeah, this is definitely a typical example where you have innovation and technology that can help out with the production, with the design of a collection. And I was saying earlier on that, again, there is a link here, a commonality between Edita and Zuzana, because when I was exchanging emails with Zuzana, she told me that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Zuzana, that you were designing also not just uniforms, but outfits for the Olympic and the Paralympic team. Is that correct?
I am designing for the opening ceremony. So it's not really a sportswear. It's for the sports team. And I was really looking for fabrics and developing cuts. And that was really crucial and really paid off for the invested energy to make shapes that are sort of universal shape for athlete's body, because it really does have balance. So that was very important. And also I wanted them to feel the comfort that they are used to, because most of them wear most of the time only sportswear. So even for the formal occasion, I wanted to give them fabrics that are elastic and very pleasant for them.
This definitely resonates with me and with IFA Paris, because we have just finished a large-scale project with an American group called Global Brands Group. Like amongst other brands, they own like All Saints, Calvin Klein, and so on. And the project was about adaptive design. So our students designed collections for a variety of disabled customers, blind customers, for example, or customers that are in a wheelchair. And I know the amount of time they have spent in terms of researching the disability typology and try to understand also how technology and, you know, simply innovation in terms of shapes, in terms of usage of fabric was important to create those adaptive collections as well. So I was wondering how you dealt with that in particular, Zuzana.
I designed the original healthy athletic team collection first, and then I was translating that design for the Paralympic team, and I wanted them to appear exactly the same when on presenting to the public, but I have made completely different cuts for the Paralympic team, for their mobility limits that they have, for the fact that if they are on a wheelchair, then their abdominal muscles are really weak. So they have often bellies, even if they would be slim people. And so I wanted them to have absolute comfort. Their shirts cannot come out of their pants just because they're sitting. So they need longer shirts and little things like that. They were very kind from the beginning with the Olympic team and with the Paralympic team from the very beginning for 3 years now. Because of the delay, I worked directly with the athletes, communicating and meeting with them, because for me, it was an enormous opportunity to learn. And that's exactly what they told me, what their struggles are. Whether it's a healthy athlete with extreme muscles who has really hard time shopping for fashion in general, or it's a Paralympic athlete and his limits. Yes.
True. And, when we did our research on that, we realized that disabled customers are very fashionable as well. They love fashion. They don't want their clothes to be looking like medical clothes. And there is such a disregard from the fashion industry for these customers as well. And I'm not trying to be cynical here, but I'm just bringing a business perspective. The value of the market segment that we call adaptive design that is crafted for disabled customer has the size in terms of value of the fashion market of the entire China. So it's a huge amount, and it's definitely an untapped market.
Right. That's very good that we can start discussing this topic even, because I've never come across it before. But definitely I would compare it to plus sizes and my customers, because we do make to measure, and we do really customize individual designs as well as ready to wear. And I work individually with women who were not happy shopping before because they didn't feel pretty, because the things in ready to wear stores didn't fit them. And they had to go to a plus size shops where they didn't resonate with the designs. And so they start hating fashion, even they would love it. And I felt terrible about that, because in traditional costumes, 50 or 100 years ago, there was no concept that beautiful is only skinny or beautiful is only curvy. Everyone looked beautiful. My great grandmother never wore anything else but traditional costume, and she would be beautiful no matter what she did. We were not rich family, but everybody would be always very, very presentable. And that just makes life better. It makes everyone treat the other person who looks nice better. It makes you feel better and have more self-respect. And that should be available for everyone, not for 36 and 38 size customers.
You're absolutely right. And well, that leads me to my closing thought. And as usual, Edina, I'm sorry, I went over time. I knew that I was supposed to finish at 10:35, so I'm 10 minutes late.
I have to tell you something. I canceled the next session just so that you can keep going.
Thank you. Oh my God, I'm so sorry about that.
No, I'm joking. No, it's a joke. It's a job of this. It's a joke. It's a joke.
Okay, good. Thank you.
But God. I just want to say that if I see cotton fields all over Bosnia, I'm going to blame you as Zuzana.
We'll get into fashion agriculture. Yeah, exactly. No, I just had a closing thought, and maybe one last question for Zuzana and Edita, because it's a question that I was asked by my students about 2 weeks ago, and I thought, oh, okay, well, that's quite interesting. How would you like fashion to be in the next 5 years? Like if you could describe ideally how you would like it to change and what you would like it to be, what would you say, Zuzana, for example?
I would really like to see, and thank you for this question, that's a beautiful one. I would like to see in fashion to happen the same thing that we witnessed with food, at least here in Czech Republic, when people really have a joy to go shopping to farmers market, meet the farmer who really grown or prepare their food. And just that fact that you've interacted with the people who prepare it for you makes you love it and appreciate it. You wouldn't waste it. You would talk about it at the lunch, who are the farmers, and that creates a culture and it creates connection between people and gives us cultural platform for much better topics than gossiping or talking about weather. And it's the same with fashion. And if I can say a full story about the dress that you're getting or shirt that you're getting, and I'll say, look, this is the picture, or I illustrate. So I always put illustrations to my products, and I say, this is the man in this region, he grown this hemp, and then this person woven it, and we make these short stories and really introduce the story behind the production. It creates so much love in the world, and that's really all that matters, I believe, for even the mood of a society and culture and country to be positive.
I agree. I absolutely agree with that. How about you, Edita?
Wait a minute. I mean that it's the first time comfortable, you know, the first time. And možda ne, sam sekund. Znači, udobnost je prvo ono što bi
Comfort.
Zatim, ono u čemu se mi osjećamo dobro. Znači, ne trend da podižemo, nego...
To be able to wear what we are comfortable in, and what we feel good in.
Yes, and always try to have some, you know, the piece of your traditional or something here. I mean.
Got it. Yeah. So if I just do a quick summary of the keywords that I heard, it was about joy, connection, stories, something that we feel comfortable in and that can represent us and our tradition. So here is hoping that within the next 5 years, fashion is going to be more about us, more about the individuals, and less about the business and the industry. So that's my closing thought for the panel. And I just wanted to thank everybody for their time today. It was lovely to be connected with you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jean-Baptiste. I hope to see you in Tuzla next year.
Me
person.
too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Absolutely. Yes, definitely. I'm vaccinated, so we're good.
Excellent. Good.
We love you.
Take care of yourself.